Hey everybody, welcome to the stream. We're going to continue from last week's adventure on trying to create a PvP lobby loop system. So we kind of showed a way to allocate players to a game and have a countdown, and we created a shrinking floor battlefield for our players to fight on. But I want to refine a little bit more about the lobby join-in system here, and a little trick that I learned the last couple of days to individualize players and give them tags. And we'd only teleport the players that have decided to sign up for the battle. And once we have that, we're going to create some stuff in VoxEdit to use as a PvP gun to shoot basically solid walls at players to push them off the edge of the map. Once we do that, in between games you can spin the wheel or purchase upgrades such as bigger walls, faster walls, things like that, and maybe faster movement while on the battlefield for that one round. Things like that to make a bit of variety and a bit of a loop come in. We also want to set up a currency system where players get awarded based on how long they survive. So when they fall off, they die, they get the amount of money that is listed on the time. The last person that lives will get a bonus and the most amount of money, and then you can spend that money in the lobby system. We want to make it in a way where it requires the players to play quite a few games to accumulate points to spend up here and upgrade. So we'll do that today, and yeah, we'll see what we can do. This will take about 3 or 4 streams to put together. I plan on doing it all this week, so I'll be streaming a few times on the Sandbox and also on my personal channel to get this done. So good morning everyone, thanks for joining, and let's test to see where we left off last time. And then we'll continue and build on the mechanics from there. It is taking a little while to load. Just give it a moment. Alright, here we are. We join with 200 money. We can spin the wheel. Hey, we got an extra 100 cash. This will be our shop for later on. And this is our player has joined. And now our battlefield is shrinking, I believe. Yeah, there we go. We can see it moving now. So all that's working, except we don't have a player allocation number. And we need to separate this platform from the main platform and teleport players that don't have a number attached. And we'll once the game starts, we'll teleport the players at their appropriate locations. What we can do here is have each corner as one start location, which is 4, and each middle part here in between each of the corners will be other start locations. Then falling off the map takes you out of the game. And we need to put a border around the lobby so players cannot jump off onto the battlefield. And yeah, we'll get all that sorted now. Thanks for tuning in. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is, we don't need the bright blue area, and we'll get a meta black block, and we'll basically I can't speak right now, shorten this platform, or in this case we'll lengthen it so players can't get across. And what we can do here is we can have a little portal area. We'll have a void asset. We'll bring that out so players can see you can teleport if you come to this location. This seems to be the universal default asset we use for teleporting. And we could probably duplicate that one and just put one here. And what we can do is we can, again, so it visually looks like we can cross that. With something like that. All right, perfect. Next, we want to create collectibles. So we have here a player joined and a player joins. It adds 1 to the player joined in a rule system to calculate how many players have entered the game. But we're going to delete this and we're going to do it a different way. We're going to add a prop that the player collects. And I don't know what prop we're going to use. We'll have a look in the library and see if there's something we can just put in there and players collect it to allocate themselves a player number, which then will allow them to teleport to the battlefield. Turn your mic up a little bit, it's low. Thanks, Ian. I'm using a different software and I still can't get the higher voice that I want. It doesn't work the same as OBS for some reason. Streamlabs OBS. Hopefully you can still hear me. And yeah, we'll look for an asset now we can use to collect. And we can always change that later, I guess. So let's just pick something for now. Maybe a cup or a key. We'll do a cup. Alright, so with the cup, we want to add a collectible. And the collectible will send a message to the rule system. So we can say player joined. And we can have a number attached. We'll have 1. Or we can say player number. And then we'll make that a number. We'll make that number 1, and we want to send that to the rules. Or we can send it to all. It doesn't matter. We'll give it a sound effect as well. And we want an 8-player game, so what we can do is we can duplicate and we just change that to 2. Duplicate, change that to 3. Change that to 4. Five. 6. 7. And the last one, 8. So we're going to make this an 8-player game. And we can kind of block it off with invisible walls, or just have a black wall in between. But we can use invisible walls in this case. We'll just use wall as the asset, and we'll just make that invisible. And this will stop players from grabbing 2 by mistake, or even deliberately. Gives us some sort of control, so the players don't break the game. Alright, now we just need a border. We could have a black wall, a black brick wall around, but I think we can just use invisible walls here. And you just basically want to get around the whole borders so the players cannot jump off. Something like this. And we can duplicate this and put it on the other side of this platform. With Control D, we'll put that on this side. And I think we're pretty good here. We can get rid of this and this. And now we just need this wall on the other side. Something like that. But we also need to bring this wall here so players cannot jump off here either. So go ahead and duplicate for walls and bring them in. Something like this. Okay. Alright, we will put a wall around the whole lobby as well, but now we've got this system set up, we can now do the next part where we can teleport the player on the other side. When they pick up the cup, it will bring them back out here, and they will be entered into a game when the countdown hits 0, and we can have that loop in as well. But let's start off with a volume trigger. We want to broadcast type to rules, and we'll say check player number, and the detection type should just be a small box like this. So when a player walks in here, it will send that message to the rule system, which is check player number. And what I can do is I can duplicate this, bring it on this side, and we can have here exit player number area. That's if the player changes their mind, they can leave. I'm going to go ahead and move these across so they're not in our way. Excuse me. So now we need to allocate a player number each time a player goes into this area and picks up one of these. So the message here, player number, needs to go to the rule system. So let's go ahead and do that. First thing we want to do is create a variable, and we want to create a local variable. That local variable will be player number, and it will start off with 0, and we want to show it on the left hand side in the first position. Awesome. And that should be seen straight away. So we'll go ahead and give it a display HUD, and we can say HUD player number, and we want to do true or false. True or false lets you to toggle on and off the HUD with one message, and we'll use player number. Hey Vivox, welcome. Okay, so we now have a player number, we have a HUD, and we could turn it on and off. Next, we want to get rid of what we want to do here is add a variable, a rule, which set number value. And what we're going to do here is use the player number, which is on our collectible, and we want to change the variable of our local variable, so the player local variable. And the new number will be whatever is in the message argument. So when I collect the player number, that's what number they'll be. So let me show you that example. Actually, I can't because I can't get across. So let's fix that. First, we need to remove collisions on this. So we're having trouble walking on it. And we need a TP to player. So what we've done here is check player number. So we're going to go back to our rule system. And what we need to do is compare. So we're going to add a new rule. We're going to do a comparison. And we're going to compare numbers. So what we're going to do here is check player number. Check player number, and we want to check the value of their local number. If it is greater than 0, if it equals 0, we're going to teleport player. We're going to TP player to the selection area if the value of their player number is 0. So we're going to go ahead and create a TP and go ahead and use a numpad for that one. We're going to have no collisions and we're not going to be able to see it, and we're going to add a teleport component, and this is TP player selection area. So that's the name of this teleport. We're just going to copy it with Control-C, and the spawning point will be the asset that is called TP player selection area, which is itself. And what we need to do is put that message, the same one we do in the rules, where if the player number is 0, it will teleport the player here. So let's have a look at what that was. And that was TP player selection area. Awesome. Now I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this one. And this one's going to teleport the player back out. So I'm going to say TP player leave selection area. We'll go ahead and select that in our library. And we want to send a player here after they pick up this. And the message is player number. So let's see if that works. Okay, we'll save that and test it out. Now if it works as intended, you will see player number in the left corner that says 0. As you can see, player number equals 0. When I walk over here, it should teleport me into the selection area. Now I'm in the selection area. If I pick up one of these trophies, it puts me back outside. But now I am player 6. So when I go back onto this teleport, it's not going to work. We are already in the actual fight, ready for the next fight. And we can probably put up a message to say already in battle, or already, yeah, something like that. So let's do that. So we've got here check player number. What we can do is duplicate that rule, and we can say if it's greater than 0, we can send a message already signed up. Cool. Now already signed up can go to another rule, which is a banner. And we can have here show the player the message. So what we want to show is a text, and it could be local text, and we say already signed up, or already joined next match. You have already joined up for the next match. Okay, we're going to display let's see what that does. The duration is 2 seconds. Message on close is nothing. Alright, let's see if this actually works. So go TP. We will pick up a number, and now when we walk back in, it says you have already joined up for the next match. Cool. So if someone tries to use a teleport, at least then being indicated why they can't teleport, because they've already signed up for the next match. And you can see player number 4 is our number for the player. Cool. Now we can have a loop that happens on a time based, or when players join up based. We need at least 2 players in order for there to be a battle. Otherwise there's nothing really there to do on your own. It will be pretty boring. So what we'll do is we've got collisions on this, so we're going to keep that. But we're also going to build a wall around the lobby area so players cannot jump off. Okay. Alright, so far so good. We don't want to duplicate those ones, they're the wrong ones. We'll duplicate that and we'll rotate. And duplicate, rotate that, and we will delete this one so the players can get through, and we'll just cover up the spacing so the players can navigate along the floor without smashing into invisible walls where it looks like there shouldn't be any. Alright, so that's all our area. Players will be confined in this space. And we've got our big wheel. And we'll bring that into the center of the lobby. Alright, awesome. And we did stuff here with show player countdown and all that. We'll probably need to adjust that. We'll go ahead and save our work, and we'll continue doing a little bit more. Alright, so next we want to create something that will teleport the players down here. And we'll need to use a volume for that one. Broadcast type, we'll say all, and detection will be 6 by 50 by 50. So it covers all that area. And players will be definitely selected wherever they are in the lobby area. And the enter message will be TP player to battle area. We'll go ahead and save that as a preset. Make that invisible and no collisions first. Okay, and we want to bring that out with an asset spawner. So what we can do here is have asset spawner, and we want to bring out a preset. And that preset will happen when the countdown hits 0. So what do we have in our rule system as a message that we send out when the timer hits 0? Let's have a look. So we've got start countdown. After 8 seconds we have start game. So what we can do is we can just do start game as the message. We also want to kill it, so it's not just sitting there. So we'll bring out our preset again. We'll go ahead and add a plant behavior. And we need something that will go ahead and kill this after, say, 2 seconds. So we'll set that up. So start game. We can have a timed event. With start game, and then after, we'll say 2 seconds, we can kill plant. Kill TP plant, and we can send that to here. And that should get rid of it after 2 seconds, and we'll go ahead and save over that preset. Cool. Alright, awesome. Next we need to tell which player to teleport where when the game begins. So this one's going to be a little bit more tricky because this is not a solid floor. So I can't put assets on it. I'm going to put it on the ground here. And this is where I haven't done this part before. So we can teleport all the players in the middle and have the weapons on the edge, or we can have them teleport somewhere in a battlefield here. They have their own thing to collect. Something like that. And we need to tell which player to teleport at which location. So we're going to have to work that one out because I haven't done that part before. Let's go ahead and save. So let's use that message for the TP. So we'll go back to our preset. The message we're using is TP player to battle area. So what we want to do is we want to do a comparison rule. We want to compare numbers. And we'll use TP player to battle area. And the number variable to compare will be the player number. If it equals to 1, we can say TP player 1. And what we can do here is duplicate this, and if it's 2, it will be TP player 2. And we do that for all 8. Progressing by 1 number each time. And what we're doing here is we're comparing the local number of each player. And depending on what player number they are, it will send out a different teleport message for them. So when that volume comes out, every player will be touching that. It will send a message which will go to the rule system, and the rule system will check what number they are and then send that appropriate message out depending on what their number is. We can probably just send this to the rule system. So I'm going to go ahead and say rules, and now I'm going to save this again over our existing preset, and we can go ahead and test this out. So we're going to say TP player 1, and this one will be here for TP player 1. We'll duplicate this, and we'll have it on the opposite side, and this one here can be TP player 2. Duplicate. This one can be on this corner. Press F to zoom in. And this one here will be TP player 3. Duplicate with Control D. We're going to bring that over to the other side. Press F to zoom in. And this one will be player 4. Awesome. Duplicate, put that in the middle somewhere. This one will be player 5. And we'll duplicate, put that on the opposite side of the board. Control F. sorry, just F, no control needed. This one's player 6. TP player 6, just 2 more. Control D, bring that over here. This one is player 7. Player 7 and control D. We're on this side here. And this is player 8. And TP player 8. Alright, we've got collisions set on all of them. So what I can do here is make it invisible, no collision. And we can go ahead and select all of that from the hierarchy. Make it no vision, no collisions. So all of that is invisible. We'll go ahead and save. And let's test that out. So what we're going to do is pick up a cup and see if it puts us in the right location. So let's see if it even teleports us at all. Alright, the game should start in 8 seconds. I should probably show the cooldown. Or maybe the cooldown doesn't work. Let's see what happens with the cooldown. I've got start countdown. So start countdown happens probably with a message that I haven't got. So this stream is not for questions, but tomorrow will be. So I'll be on same time tomorrow, and that will be a question/game jam stream. So player 1, I'm just going to label this, player 2, player 3, player 4, player 5, player 6, player 7, player 8. So we've got start countdown somewhere. So this is our shop. We don't have to worry about our shop. This is RNG. Wheel RNG. This one's a start spin timer. Add money, so I'll add that to the RNG. And this one's also spinning the wheel. We'll chuck that into the RNG. What's this one for? This one is also the wheel. So that's for the wheel results. It should be 12. Yes, there's 12. So that makes sense. That's our money. That's our HUD. So where's our countdown? That's our money. That's the shop. This is the players joined. So we've got HUDs over here. HUD display. Player joined. So this is what I used before, which is not what we're using at the moment. The message we're using right now, I'm going to close the rules, select our cup, edit logic, and that's player number. So we're going to go ahead and change that player joined to player number. Player number, player joined, and the value shouldn't be a number, but it should be a fixed value of 1. Then it's going to compare numbers, which is here. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in here. We'll keep it down here. Call this player joined. So it's going to compare, and if it's greater than 1, it's going to start countdown. Countdown's going to happen, and after 8 seconds it will start game. We can move this banner to our banner section. And what's this? Start game, players remaining is a variable of players joined. So we change the players remaining to players joined, and then we're going to have a def sequence. So players remaining. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have a math. We're going to add and subtract, and what we're going to do is we're going to have a def message. Each time the def message is sent, we're going to have players remaining as -1. And then we're going to check players left. So we want to check how many players are left after someone dies. So we're going to compare numbers, and we're going to send a message here, and we're going to check players remaining, and if it's greater than 0, no, if it equals 0, it will be end game. Awesome. We also want to add and subtract on def. We want to use your money, and what we want to do is change the value of a variable, which is time. So we're going to have a time variable that we're going to add, and that's going to be global. And what we want to do is have just game time. We can display that at the bottom just for the purposes of this exercise. And I think that's all that needs to be done here. And end game will teleport all the players back. We will set up that teleport after we check that this first one works. So we'll go ahead and save that. So we've done quite a few things since the last save. And we'll see if the player gets teleported onto the battlefield when picking up a trophy. So you can see the game start timer below. I can't go in here because we've already signed up. And it's teleported me to position 8 as player 8. And the game should just start, and you can see the floor's already shrinking. And if the player doesn't move, let's see what happens. So it looks like I just float until I don't, and then I'm out of the match. It says players remaining 1, which is not true. So we need to have a def thing at the bottom. So when a player falls, it registers that they have fallen and they died. So what we can do here again is we'll use volume to detect players who have fallen. And the message we're going to send is def. We want to do a box, and we're going to do just 80 by 80. So if any player falls down, that's the end of them. We'll make that smaller so players actually fall. Just make sure the players who do fall can't jump out. into a weak spot and not be detected. So that's fine. So def will be sent. And what we can do here is we'll send one to the rule system, and we'll duplicate and we will have the same message but trigger for the triggering actor. Okay, so what we'll do here is we'll go player, controller, components, and we're going to go to the def message, and it's just going to be def. We're not going to send anything out, and that should work. And we should see players remaining go from 1 to 0, and the player who dies goes to... we don't actually need a def message either, because a player dies from touching the bottom of the map. So if you don't have a bottom of the map, you will need to have this set up, where the triggering actor will send a message def, and that will kill the player based on their health component message def. But since the player touches the bottom of the map, it automatically kills them, so I don't need this extra volume. I only need the one that says they're going to take away one from the rules. So we'll go ahead and test that one out. I'll pick up a cup. Alright, we're player 5. And the game starts. Here we are, I'm player 5. I'm going to see if I can jump off. Alright, I've died. I'm back at the lobby, and you can see players remaining is 0. Perfect. And we'll start the timer as well when the game starts. So we'll go ahead and do that. So the way we can do that one is duplicate. And what we can do here is have a message broadcaster, and we'll have a toggle. And we'll have that off. We'll turn that on with start game, and we'll turn this off with end game. And we don't want a message, we just want to tick forever. And we'll have 1 second in between each tick, and it's going to go to the rule system. And for the rule system, we're just going to add 1. So we'll add an argument with a number, and we're just going to add 1 to the rule system forever when this is turned on. Oops, changed assets. Okay, so when start game happens, +1 will be sent every second to the rules. So we're going to now use that for the timer. So we'll go ahead and add a new rule, which is add and subtract number. The message we're going to wait for is +1. The variable we want to change is game timer, and the game timer will use the message argument, which is add, and it's going to add 1. It's just going to keep adding until end game happens. And then what we can do here is set number value, and with end game we're going to change the game timer back to 0. We'll probably need a gap between end game and setting this back to 0, so players can be awarded the right money. First place might miss out if this happens too quickly, but keep that in mind. We'll just call this add 1 to timer, and now to show you the example of this, you can see our money in our top left corner is 200. So when we start this game, Okay, you can see our timer is started and the map's moving, little platforms are moving, and when I jump off, the timer hits 0 and you can see we've added 13 money. 13 money was because we lasted 13 seconds in that game. So the longer you survive, the more money you get, and the last player standing will receive a bonus. We'll set that bonus part up in a moment. And then the player can come here, spend it on the wheel. You can see we just used some money to spin the wheel, and we've got an extra 100. Yay! So that all works. You can see our game at the bottom here is still happening, even though the game is finished. So we need to set up a reset for this at the bottom. Now the floors down here die using say, you okay there? I got a dog. I got a puppy today actually, and it's just made a big growling noise while it's sleeping. Okay, so we need to work out how do we bring all of this out. Will presets work here? Can we preset the whole thing? So we've got floor. And we've got floor plant. So we'll go floor 1. And we're going to save this as a preset. And we're going to do each one as a preset, and we'll see if we can spawn them back out when a game's finished to reset up the board. So it's a cycle that doesn't end. Okay. Now I need to bring these out in the right position. So I can't really duplicate that because it will duplicate the whole thing. So what I can do here is I might put a asset spawner. And we're going to bring out floor 1. And we'll bring it out with end game just for now. Floor 1 asset spawner. And we'll bring this to the exact same location as the other one. What's this for? Oh, that's a def one. Okay. So here. Floor 1 plant and floor 1 asset spawner. So what I can do here is just type in floor 1. And we got the plant, which is 47 by 49. 47 by 49. And then this one here is 16.51. So go ahead and do 16.51. So this should technically work. I'm not going to do the whole thing straight away. I want to see if the first one actually works. Okay, we're on the battle. Every player has their own individual spawn location. And we'll set up some weapons and stuff next stream. Now we've got the loop happening. We can do the fun PvP part and the upgrades. But it's all about getting that loop happening. Little Legion says, random question, will we get system messages for when player buttons like left click, right click, WSD, run, jump, swim, component, and detect such actions and emotes? Yep, so in 0.10 there are hotkeys, so it can send messages using numbers and left click, right click, but more will be added in the future, still being worked on. Alright, so we've got 60 points, everything's gone back to 0, and you can see the floor has spawned back. We've got the first border back. You see our player number is 2. We need to set that player number to 0 when a game finishes. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And that will allow us to go back into the player selection area to select a new trophy. So we're going to set a variable, a rule, set number value, and what we'll do here is end game. We're going to change the player number back to 0. Now it says we need a player message. I can do that using a volume as well, so we'll sort that out later. But that's all set up. And I'll quickly save this and then we'll do the rest of the floors. So the floor resets when a game finishes. We'll have a new countdown timer until the next game begins. So I'm going to duplicate this one, and this one's going to be floor 2, and we're going to do floor 2, and we're going to change this to floor 2, and we're basically going to change the positioning to be equal to this. So this one's 47 and 49.01, so I'm going to go 47, 49.01. And this one here is 1681, so we're going to do 1681. Alright, next we're going to duplicate. I'm going to bring it up a bit. And this one here is going to be number 3. We're going to change it to floor 3. Change it in a hierarchy so we can see the position. And that one's 46.98, 46.98, 49.1, and that's 17.09. And now we have floor 3 sorted. We'll go ahead and duplicate. And this one here will be 4th floor. And we'll select that here as well. And we'll change that to this so we can see what's going on with the position. 46.98, 49.04, 46.98, 49.04, and the y-axis is 1744, so we'll just change that, and now that's in our exact same position. And the last thing we need to do is number 5. So go ahead and make that number 5. We'll just bring that up as close as we can here. And we'll change this to floor 5. And change this to 5. And we can see the position here. 46.99, 46.99, 49.02, 49.02, and the height is 1778. Okay, cool beans. Control S. Let's save that one. Can you also show the part again how you made each player a unique spawn point? Nope. You can rewatch the stream if you like. All of that is saved for your viewing pleasure. So what I can do is if this part works and the battlefield resets, then we can do a timer before the new round begins, give players like 60 seconds to spin the wheel and look for upgrades and spend their money before the next battle begins. Player number 7, I don't think player number will change, but maybe I can do that with def, the def message. Player number does change. So now the game's ended. So now that the player game's ended, and it ended early, it spawned all of the actual floors, but the other ones still haven't finished moving yet. So now they're all moving and there's 2 layers. So we don't want that. But what we can do here, if this works, is save this as a preset, timed battle events, timed battle event, and we probably want to kill this off. So I'm going to put this underground somewhere here. And what I can do here is have a health component. And we can kill this off with end game, I think. I haven't tried this before, but it should work. We can destroy, we don't want to see its health. Doesn't matter about any of this, as long as it dies. And we'll go ahead and save that. Start game brings out a new one. Sorry, starts at the actual thing. So what I can do here is save this over the existing preset. I'll now bring it out as an asset spawner. What did I call it? Timed battle event. And we want to bring it out when player joined. So player number. Does player number go all or just to the rules? Player number goes to all. So should bring it out with player number. And that's just a def. And that one all works. Okay. Let's check it out. Let's go player 6. Alrighty. So our battlefield's shrinking, the timer is going up, which is also going to add to our money when we die. And that money will be used to spend in the shops above. I'm going to go ahead and die. Game timer says 1 when it should say 0, so there's a bug there. The floor has been respawned. And it doesn't look like it's continuing. Okay, that's good. Let's go ahead and pick a new cup. We need to respawn those cups after each game. So that's something we can do. Player joined is 2 when it should be 0 plus 1. Alright, we died. We've added money to the event. But it says it's still going, even though I have died. So that loop didn't work. It says players remaining 1, so it didn't detect my second death for some reason. But it says players join 2. So what we need to do here is set players join to 0 when a game ends, because it still thinks there's an extra player on their board. Because we don't set the players join to 0 when a game begins. So what we can do here is set number value with end game. We can have players joined, and that equals 0, and that should be fine. That should be fine. That should be fine. And as you saw, there was 1 in the player time after it reset. There's that little bug, and that's why there should be a delay between end game and setting it to 0. Because end game turns off this toggle and then sets this timer to 0. But if this message gets sent out while it's all triggering, it will still add a value of 1 after it's changed it to 0. So you need to have like this timer in between of a second. So what I could do here is end game turns this off, and we can say reset game timer. Reset game timer, and what I can do here is have a timed event with end game. Duplicates. And we can have end game. We'll wait 1 second and set reset game timer. So reset game timer will now turn the game timer to 0 after 1 second. The game ends, and that will stop the that from happening. I think we're pretty good. Now the last thing we need to do here for this loop is these trophies need to disappear or respawn new ones when a game is about to begin, and when the game ends they need to respawn. So what we need to do here is call this player 1 collectible. And we'll go ahead and save that as a preset, and we'll call that player 2 collectible. Save that as a preset. Player 3 collectible. Whoops. Player 4 collectible. I'm going to go back. So what have I done here? I've got too many. Player 3 collectible, I'm going to do the first one. And player 4 collectible, I'm going to do the second one. Okay. Player 5 collectible. Player 6 collectible. Player 7 collectible. And the last one is player 8 collectible. Now I've already made a mistake because I need to add a plant to each one. I should have done that first. Okay, kill player collectible, and that needs to be on each one. So we want to remove them when the game begins. Awesome. And we'll just go over the presets we just made. We'll just copy and paste. It doesn't take very long. with shortcut keys and labeling. Whoops. And one more. Alright, so we got all 8. And we want to kill them maybe when there's like 3 seconds before the game begins. So let's do that. So we use the message kill player collectible. So what we can do here is did I just break the game? No, there we go. So we want a comparison with the countdown. So where's the countdown? Somewhere over here somewhere. Compare players. Player number, already signed up. There's the banner. Here's the defs. Players joined, shop, wheel RNG. Players joined. Is it in here? Yeah, here we go, start countdown. So we have start countdown here. What we want to do here is compare the game start timer. So we go to variables. Game start timer is time. But we can't compare time in this version of GameMaker. I think there's a problem. If we go compare time, you can't select the variable. I think here it can't select the amount of time. So I think that's an issue. We could change the timer to just numbers ticking down and then compare that. That's not an issue, but what we can do here is start countdown. We can duplicate a timed event. And here we can have start countdown. And then say after 5 seconds, it will kill the player collectibles. And that should work, and that should get rid of the player collectibles after there's like 3 seconds left. We'll go ahead and test it out. So if there's about 3 seconds or 2 seconds, yep, they all disappear. No more players can join. It says go, and here we are for battles. So we got the timers ticking. That is our currency. 1 player remaining. We are player 4. We have 200 money. Alright, we're going to fall off now. Alright, our number is 0. Our players remaining is 0. Game timer is 0. Now we need something to spawn back the trophies so the next players can join. And then we have our loop. And the battlefield resets. Players can rejoin. Players can go back into battle, earn more currency, and so forth and so forth. Alright. Next we're going to duplicate all of these. We're going to have them about here. We're not going to see anything and have collisions. We're going to remove all the plants and all collectibles, and we're going to add an asset spawner. Cool. We're going to use preset and edit logic. And a message we'll use to spawn is new game. So when new game is sent, they will spawn. And all we need to do here is spawn the right one for each section, so that each cup is going to give the new players the right allocation and send them off to battle. And I've got 8-second timer as a testing purposes. I don't want to wait here for 60 seconds just to test if something works or not, which is why it is what it is. But once the game loop is working, I will change the countdown to be 60 seconds, or when 2 players have joined, then it takes 30 seconds or 60 seconds to count down, something like that. So we want new game. So what we can do here is when end game happens, it resets timer, and then after 2 seconds, we send new game, and that should spawn our cups for the new game. So let's go ahead and test that one. Alright, so we play a 4, 1 player has joined. We can't go back in there to get another cup. Cups have disappeared. Our battle is about to begin. I'm going to let this one go all the way in the center, just to make sure the battlefield works as intended, because everything else is working. And then we can set up battle weapons and things that give buffs and debuffs that spawn in the middle of the battlefield. That will be on Wednesday's stream. I'll be doing another stream to finish off this game loop example in the middle of the week. And then you can use this for whatever purposes you want. So this is as small as it goes right here. And you can see our game timer is still ticking up. And then when we hop off, we got 62. Our timer's hit 0. The cups just respawned. Players remaining should disappear. Players joined is 0. Game timer is 0. We pick up a cup. 1 player has joined. Game timer is ticking down. Alright, spawned us into the battlefield in the right position as player 4, and 1 player remaining. We'll hop off. Excellent. This is all working, by the way. Now we do have one here in case players come in and they might despawn, or they might not want to join. They might want to spin the wheel first, so we want them to be able to leave. So we'll go ahead and set that up. So we got here exit player number area. So all we need to do is just duplicate this one, or we can just add exit player number area to this, and that should work. This is an already existing teleport, and you can have more than one message. Alright, maybe you don't. Let's have a look. So let's goes to the rules. We want to go to all. There we go. So we can go in and out of this area. We can pick up a number, and now we can't go back in. So we can't hog 2 numbers. It allows for a unique 8 players. And we can send messages to turn off the banners at the bottom, as it shows the banners for too long after the match ends, and it's not really needed. But as you can see, that works really well. Which means when I do the next stream will put the battle together and then the spending together, and then the one after that will be power-ups and debuffs and things like that. Oh, was that bugging out? Or was that just camera tricks? Okay, the floor's moving. You know what? Because the floor is yellow and yellow and yellow, it's hard to see if something is shrinking with the background being completely blue. I mean, that might be okay, but I could layer the floors so it's one layer yellow, one layer red, one you know, make them different colors, yellow or blue. So when one layer is moving in, you can literally see it shrinking. And that might be a better way of visually seeing the floor shrinking. Is it really needed though? I don't know. Something to think about. Something to think about. So this guy will, now we can spend some money. Obviously this is just example items, but we can make them give buffs to the player. So if the player is player 6 and you purchased something, it will check for your player number, and if you got your player number, it will spawn something where you spawn. So when you teleport in, it will pick up that item and give you the buff for that fight. A fight goes for about 60 seconds, which is the maximum length of a buff. So it works out perfectly. But I think that's all I wanted to show today. So what we've done today is we created a way to teleport a player in and out of a selection screen, block the player after they've selected a cup, and teleport players to a specific location on the battlefield depending on their player number. Every player will have their own individual number depending on what cup they picked up. This is using local variables, so you keep local variables to give individual numbers, to give people individual access to things. You can use this same system to allow players to activate levers or push buttons or message broadcasters, and they won't work unless they're a specific player number. So if you want 8 players to run away from someone and 1 player to activate traps, you just use this system I showed you here. Allocate the player that you want to be the person that lays traps as player 1, and everyone else is player 0, and player 1 will be the only one that can activate switches, for instance. Like I did with this, player 0 can use teleports, but as soon as they're greater than 1, we can no longer use it and we get a message. But anyone that's player 0 still can still go through. And you can use this little trick for all sorts of things. Like, this is a really good technique, and it's a good logic to learn, because it's not just for this use case, it's for so many, and it individualizes roles in the game based on the player number. So do try to understand what I just did and learn that concept and try to apply it to your games, because that's how you get individual stuff happening with each player and interactions. But I hope this has been useful, and yeah, if you have any questions, message me on Discord. Tune in same time tomorrow for any questions and logic that you want to see built for your game jams, something you might be stuck with, something you might want to know. I'll be on and I'll build it live for you, and yeah, we'll do this together. Well, thanks for joining, and have a great one. See you next time.